I never ran from anything because I didn't have nobody to go to. I've always had that, where I'm going. Home to get me? Ain't nobody there.
Right.
You know?
The tension between 50 Cent and Big Meech just reached a boiling point. Big Meech didn't hold back, openly claiming that 50's financial troubles are a direct result of their feud. And this isn't just empty talk. Rick Ross weighed in with some serious allegations, suggesting that 50 has been struggling to secure funds for his new G-Unit studio. Rumor has it he can't even get a loan because his credit is reportedly in shambles. Ross went even further, hinting that he might go after 50's music masters if he doesn't back down, painting a picture of someone scrambling to stay afloat. Bold claims, no doubt, but this is 50 Cent we're talking about. Do you really think he'd just sit there and let Ross toss out these accusations without firing back? Not a chance. 50 hit back hard, threatening to drop some scorching receipts, cold, hard proof of who's really broken this saga. And of course, fans are left wondering, what's the real deal with 50's finances? Could 50 Cent actually be slipping from his empire's peak, or is this all just Rick Ross stirring the pot to get under his skin? Here's the kicker. Rumors are swirling that Big Meech and Rick Ross may actually hold the upper hand in this escalating beef. Rumors are flying that 50 Cent can't even keep the lights on at his studio. Meanwhile, Meech and Ross are out here celebrating, acting like they're the ones who drained 50's bank account. They're mocking him relentlessly, saying he'll come crawling back, begging for help once his funds dry up. But hold on a second. Are they really living in reality? Let's not forget, the last time anyone checked, 50 Cent was a bona fide billionaire. Billionaires don't go broke over beef, especially not over who snitched and who didn't. So, who's really living in a fantasy world here? If you've been following this wild saga between 50 Cent and Big Meech, you already know Rick Ross is smack in the middle of it all. This whole feud caught fire when Big Meech teamed up with Rick Ross for a massive welcome home concert, a gig that promised big payouts for both of them. But here's the kicker. The concert got canceled at the last minute, and no one gave a straight answer as to why. The streets went wild with speculation, pointing fingers squarely at 50 Cent. Whispers started circulating that 50 didn't want Big Meech stacking cash with his rival Rick Ross. But 50 was quick to fire back, insisting he had nothing to do with it. Still, the drama only grew from there. Fans weren't buying any of it. Rick Ross didn't hold back, tearing into 50 Cent with some harsh words. He called him out, saying 50 was just bitter and needed to accept that Meech and Ross were making moves without him. Let's face it, 50 never liked the idea of Big Meech teaming up with Rick Ross. He made that crystal clear, hurling serious accusations at Meech and branding him a snitch. To 50, Rick Ross was still Officer Ricky, and anyone rolling with him couldn't be trusted. But here's where it gets downright messy. 50 Cent wasn't just throwing out accusations, he claimed to have the receipts to back them up. He alleged that Big Meech snitched to get a shorter prison sentence and then dropped a major bombshell. 50 wasn't content to just talk. He announced plans for a no-holds-barred documentary about Tammy Cowens. Tammy was close to Meech, deeply involved in his life, and supposedly sitting on secrets that could completely shatter his public image. This documentary wasn't just a side project, it was set to detail who, what, when, and how Meech might have cooperated. Tammy wasn't just another name in the story. She was someone Meech had trusted enough to sell his life rights to. That made her the only person legally allowed to tell his story in books, movies, or TV shows. According to 50, Meech made a colossal mistake letting that relationship sour. Now Tammy was ready to spill everything. No filters, no sugarcoating. She was prepared to share details that could shake Meech's reputation to its core. While all of this was unfolding, Rick Ross and Big Meech were busy flaunting their financial successes. They made a point of throwing shade at 50 every chance they got. They were painting the picture of 50 Cent as someone who was on the losing end of this battle, all while 50 prepared to drop the documentary that could change everything. Rick Ross even claimed he was about to drop his own BMF movie and rake in major cash. This came right after 50 Cent announced he was pulling the plug on the BMF series, accusing Meech and his son Lil Meech of playing shady games behind the scenes. Here's where it gets interesting. Tammy, the one who owns Meech's life rights, had originally partnered with 50 Cent to create the BMF series. The show was a hit, no question. But once Meech joined forces with Rick Ross, 50 decided to go full-on petty and shut everything down out of spite. And it wasn't just about the show. Lil Meech, who had been cast to play his own father, was suddenly caught in the middle. He was trying to keep the story alive while his dad's beef with 50 Cent caused everything to come crashing down. 50 Cent had been the one lining Lil Meech's pockets, providing a steady income through the BMF series. It's said that Lil Meech made over $5 million from the show. Serious money. But here's the jaw-dropper. He didn't save a single penny. Not a dime. He burned through the entire fortune on luxury cars, dripping chains, designer outfits, and a whirlwind of extravagant spending. All this while, Big Meech was still locked up with hardly anything to his name. You'd think Lil Meech might have set aside a chunk of that cash to help his dad when he got out, but no. He spent it like the checks would never stop coming. Even Tony Yayo weighed in, calling Lil Meech out for his reckless spending and urging him to think about saving for tougher times. As tensions rose and 50 Cent started dragging Big Meech online, Lil Meech jumped into 50's DMs, trying to calm things down and defend his father. He explained that the link-up with Rick Ross wasn't personal, attempting to smooth things over, but by then the damage was done. Big Meech was scrambling for cash to pay bills, waiting for that next BMF payout. He reportedly told 50 Cent, "I can't believe this, man. You act like I'm your enemy. I've only shown you love and loyalty. I'm human. I go through stuff too, but I never turned on you. Forget Ross. He just helped my dad cover some bills till our next season hits. This internet drama's got me all twisted, man. You know me in real life." But 50 wasn't having it. He dropped a bombshell that completely changed the game. Posting a screenshot of Lil Meech's message, he added a biting caption, "What next season?" essentially confirming that the BMF series was done for. Then came the real shocker. 50 announced he was working with Tammy Cowens on a no-holds-barred documentary to spill all the tea about Big Meech, and it wasn't going to be pretty. 50 made it clear he was out to expose everything, even giving Meech a new nickname, Big Screech. With the BMF checks gone, Meech and his son were left scrambling. Lil Meech had already blown through millions like it was nothing, and let's be honest, what kind of job could Big Meech realistically land after years behind bars for trafficking? If they want to keep living the lifestyle they're used to, Lil Meech would have to restart his acting career or attempt to revive a rap career. But after this clash with 50 Cent, those doors might be locked shut. Then, like clockwork, Rick Ross jumped into the fray. As soon as 50 pulled the plug on BMF, Ross announced his own version of the BMF story. He didn't stop there. He claimed his version would be leagues better than anything 50's G-Unit studio could ever produce. And this is where Ross hits a brick wall. Turns out, 50 Cent actually owns the rights to the BMF brand. That's right. Sources confirmed that Rick Ross can't move forward on his project without 50's permission. And let's face it, there's no way 50's giving Ross the green light. But just when it seemed like the drama couldn't get any wilder, it did. The moment 50 Cent declared he wasn't putting another dime into Big Meech's family, everything shifted. Suddenly, the loyalty was gone. Big Meech and Lil Meech started moving in a way that felt like a direct slap in the face. Lil Meech was spotted in clubs with Rick Ross, deliberately posing for photos and making sure they'd land squarely in 50's view. No subtlety, no shame, just straight-up public displays of allegiance to his rival, and if you thought that was the end of it, think again. Meech and his son took things up another notch by connecting with Floyd Mayweather. Yes, the same Floyd who's been feuding with 50 for years. Lil Meech even posted a picture of himself with Floyd, captioning it "Real Power," a not-so-subtle jab at 50's hit series Power. If that wasn't bold enough, he followed it up with another picture, complete with a shushing emoji, as if they were cooking up something big behind the scenes. At that point, it seemed clear. Lil Meech was switching sides. Riding for his dad? Sure, but turning into a full-blown adversary to the very man who gave him his big break? That was the shocker. Just weeks prior, Lil Meech had been sliding into 50's DMs, declaring F Ross and pledging loyalty. Now he was doing the exact opposite. It's a wild shift, but sometimes when too many voices start whispering, loyalties start crumbling. One moment you're tight, the next you're shoulder to shoulder with all the enemies, and here's where things took a real twist. While all the public back and forth was raging on, rumors started surfacing about some behind-the-scenes deals. Sources close to the situation whispered that Rick Ross wasn't just stirring the pot for fun, he might have been trying to position himself as the new face of the BMF story. He was dropping hints left and right, posting cryptic messages about setting the record straight and hinting at a game-changing announcement. Fans started speculating that Ross was planning a whole new series, one that would frame him and Big Meech as the real masterminds. Meanwhile, 50 Cent stayed quiet on social media for a few days, which only fueled more chatter. Was he stepping back to reassess his strategy, or was he preparing to unleash a new level of receipts that would put the entire narrative to rest? Whatever the case, his silence wasn't exactly calming things down. Instead, it gave Ross and Meech more room to run with their version of events. Lil Meech, for his part, kept fanning the flames. He continued to pop up in photos with Ross, Floyd, and even a few other notable names who had historically clashed with 50. To many fans, it looked like he was making a very public statement. He wasn't just picking a side, he was building a whole new team. All of this left people wondering, was this still about loyalty to family? Or was Lil Meech leveraging the feud to carve out his own identity in the spotlight? As the drama unfolded, it became clear that what started as a beef over who controlled the BMF legacy had grown into a full-blown power struggle with no end in sight. At this point, it was becoming less about BMF's legacy and more about who could control the narrative. With each move, Rick Ross seemed determined to cement himself as a central figure in the BMF story. He started hinting at a major media project. Some insiders claimed it might be a documentary, while others speculated about a feature film. Whatever it was, Ross made it clear he had no plans to let 50 Cent's ownership of the BMF rights stop him. He posted on Instagram, "The truth will come out soon enough, just wait." This sent fans into a frenzy, wondering what bombshell he might drop next. Meanwhile, Big Meech stayed relatively quiet, choosing to let Ross and Lil Meech do most of the public talking. Some interpreted this as a strategic move. Why speak out when you've got others willing to do the dirty work? But that silence also raised questions. Was Meech really on board with Ross's aggressive approach? Or was he caught between two powerful personalities trying to use his story for their own gains? And then there was 50 Cent. After his brief pause, he came back swinging. He shared old interviews and articles that painted Big Meech in a less than favorable light, fueling speculation that his tell-all documentary with Tammy Cowens was closer to completion than people thought. The message was clear. 50 wasn't going to let Ross or anyone else rewrite the history he'd worked so hard to bring to screen. Fans were now divided. Some were riding with Ross and Big Meech, arguing that they were reclaiming their story from a Hollywood machine that never really understood their reality. Others stood by 50, believing he was the only one who could keep the BMF legacy intact. The drama had become a tug-of-war, with each side pulling harder and harder, turning a once simple feud into a battle over who would define the culture's most notorious empire. As the drama escalated, things took an even more surprising turn. Reports surfaced that Tammy Cowens, once thought to be firmly in 50 Cent's corner, might be reconsidering her position. Rumors started swirling that she was quietly meeting with other producers, exploring different ways to tell the BMF story without 50's involvement. While nothing was confirmed, just the idea that Tammy might entertain other offers sent shockwaves through the community. If she really did jump ship, it would leave 50 in a much tougher spot to defend his control over the narrative. At the same time, Rick Ross and Big Meech began teasing a joint project that went beyond a simple movie or documentary. Some insiders hinted at a full-scale multimedia empire, podcasts, merchandise, maybe even a streaming deal that would bring BMF's story into homes across the globe. Ross played it coy in interviews, smiling as he said, "This is bigger than TV. This is bigger than any one person." It wasn't clear if these were just grandiose claims or the first steps of a serious plan, but either way, it kept the attention focused squarely on him and Meech. As for Lil Meech, he continued to keep fans guessing. While he'd been openly siding with Ross, he also dropped cryptic comments about family ties and always staying loyal in his social media captions. Was he hinting at a possible reconciliation with 50 Cent? Or was he just playing the field, trying to keep all options open as the battle intensified? One thing was certain. The saga was no longer just about who held the rights to the BMF brand or who got the biggest check. It was about who would ultimately control one of hip-hop's most legendary narratives. And as both sides dug in their heels, it seemed the real showdown was yet to come. It seemed like Big Meech and his son completely overlooked everything 50 Cent had done for them during their hardest times. Even Boozy jumped in, calling out Lil Meech's soft tone in that message to 50. Boozy said if it were him, there'd be no doubt. Family loyalty would come first, no second guessing. But 50 wasn't about to let it slide. When he finally responded, he didn't hold back. He spelled out exactly why seeing Big Meech and Lil Meech side by side with his enemies stung so badly. According to 50, I did more for Meech than anyone in his life. He pointed to every time Meech was locked up. 50 was always the first one there, bailing him out. He said what hurt the most was seeing Lil Meech laughing at posts that dissed him. That's when 50 realized he's a snake too. He belongs with them. But 50 didn't stop at just calling out disloyalty. He laid it all out, explaining how he'd practically been a father figure to Lil Meech while Big Meech was still locked up. He paid for acting classes, helped Lil Meech clean up his act, and made sure he had cash in his pocket to steer clear of illegal activity. According to 50, it was his influence that kept Lil Meech on a straight path. But things started going south once Big Meech got out. From 50's perspective, Big Meech began giving Lil Meech all the wrong advice, pushing him to spend recklessly and live large. While 50 was urging Lil Meech to manage his money and stay clean, Big Meech seemed to be encouraging the opposite. I thought about it, 50 said. And I think Big Meech just didn't like the bond me and Meech had. 50 even revealed that it wasn't just him who noticed the change. He mentioned that Russell Hornsby, one of the stars of the BMF show, saw something was off too. It seemed like everyone could see that Lil Meech was slipping, except for Big Meech. Apparently, Meech was completely out of it on set. 50 even revealed that he was high and throwing up during a weapons test. But that wasn't the final blow. 50 said someone told him that Meech had whippets in his truck. At first, 50 didn't even know what whippets were. Then he found out it's a gas people inhale to get high, and that just about sent him over the edge. After everything 50 had done for Lil Meech, to see him not just acting out but openly disrespecting him? That felt like a full-blown betrayal. But the drama doesn't stop there. Rick Ross is still firing shots, mocking 50's finances. Recently, he claimed 50 is too broke to even get his new G-Unit studio off the ground. Ross went so far as to say that 50's credit is so bad no bank will work with him, and if that wasn't enough, Ross even joked about buying 50's masters just to throw him some spare change. Cole doesn't even begin to describe it. Apparently, 50 has had enough. Word is, he's ready to drop receipts, real proof of who's actually struggling out here. He's laughing at the idea that any of this Big Meech drama is affecting his bottom line. Let's be real, how much sway does Big Meech even have anymore? Sure, he was a huge name back in the day, but it's 2025 now. The world's a mess, times have changed, and most people are just trying to make ends meet. 50's not new to this kind of heat. He's taken on way bigger names than Big Meech or Rick Ross and come out unscathed. If anything, 50 knows how to turn chaos into a viral moment. He thrives on flipping the script, making the drama work in his favor. So, what do you think? Is 50 Cent actually facing financial trouble because of all this? Or is Rick Ross just stirring the pot? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're hungry for more celebrity drama, untold beef, and behind-the-scenes revelations, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned. There's more where this came from.